Yeah,
I think his is probably going to be the easiest.
Mine,
And then Lamar, and then because I know
Okay.
there's some big ones here too.
Yeah,
I agree. There shouldn't be much dialogue.
That's what Rich is on as well. He's like, this should be really straightforward. We're right on point. And then we're on for I think Thursday.
Right, yeah.
Do some trail walking.
Look at the trails. Yep.
So what's the actual application here?
Yeah, that was my question. We got two applications.
So that was a question I had for Shauna too. So in the past, when we've done a preliminary overall, it's usually a phased subdivision, which usually includes site plan. Here we divided it up into subdivision and then site plan. So I don't know if that's how we've always done and I just overlooked it before, or if it's simply just one application, phased subdivision, which includes the site plan component.
Yeah, I think also the confusion was because the Wilkin parcel is got an additional 80 acres, it's been subdivided.
So maybe that's
so the subdivide that you're seeing is a simple sub of the other side of the street from the north parcel, because they can't close. They can't close on our piece.
That's probably the subdivision application that we're talking about.
That's just a simple line adjustment where the road is.
So that's 2190. The first one.
Yeah, probably showing just a basic subdivision site plan.
And lot 1 of 40.37.
Exactly.
And lot 2 of 84.2.
Right. So it's just taking their original parcel and drawing a line where the road. Because they, as I said, I hadn't been able to close on it, and I can't close on it until it's a separate piece.
I gotcha. And then the other one is just the final phase 1.
Phase 1
we've
final.
Been looking at.
Exactly per plan, just in more engineering detail.
I think one question, Chuck, and I don't mean to interrupt if there's stuff, but I know you guys had a marathon, maybe you had a conversation with Jim Fletcher.
Yeah, that went really well, actually. And he, we're not doing the stream crossing until the second phase, but we were looking at a really good solution of ready rock with pre-stressed slabs on it, and then staying completely out of the high water mark as far as where the Corps would measure it, so that we don't have to also go through their right now is a 2-year process of getting the approvals. We just said we'll completely stay out of that and do it under the nationwide permit.
One of the issues I got brought was Jim was asking for a certain type of crossing, which is essentially part of a future phase. And so one of the components is the marathon, and then we're going to reach out to Jim and see if they can alter that to this Ready Rock option, which we've seen before. And then 2, just to clarify that was going to be part of a future phase, which will be, I think, the next phase that comes before you guys for approval outside of phase 1. Phase 2 would include those designs in that element. So I think it was just really more, and I don't mean it to.
Sure, no, yeah,
I wasn't part of the process, but I think it was more to get clarification on those 2 items, and then some of Jim's comments as part of the overall.
So this was one of my questions on this subdivision right here.
Sure.
He's taking this parcel, connected to this. Sean and I had spoke. It's a lot line adjustment, except for the fact that he's creating now a lot with 2 frontages, maybe, or something. I don't know whether it was.
That's why we had to submit it, because normally we could have just done a lot line adjustment, but you have a code provision that says if you have,
because of the right of way,
if you have frontage on 2 roads,
because now this lot
that would be.
It's still just a
simple
lot line adjustment. Doesn't need to go to planning board.
Okay.
It needs to go zoning board for the double frontage. Right? Yes.
No. Can I?
Oh, you're good. Just
that reg. Yeah.
We're talking about the subdivision.
So rather than doing a lot line adjustment, we are actually doing a subdivision of the Wilkin parcel, making the 40-acre lot and remaining lands essentially 2 lots. So for a short time, there will be a separate tax lot that will be transferred over to Morels, and then section 1 that will be merged into the remaining lands, and it will only have frontage on Parish Street extension for the remaining lands. So,
Okay.
so rather than going the zoning board route, we're actually just gonna make 2 lots out of the Wilkin parcel.
Okay.
So you're subdividing it because of the right of way, they're creating 2 lots, right?
Yeah, then later on, they're gonna,
And
And
then
then,
we'll merge it afterwards.
Okay, I gotcha. And that would be an administrative lot line, right, Chris, later on?
depending on if it has number of frontages and
Gotcha.
stuff like that, but it
Okay.
might be just part of the whole subdivision that we already approved and everything, so we just
Okay,
call it
so
a day.
this one we think is a subdivision
This
application.
is definitely a
this
subdivision.
is subdivision.
Creating a new lot, have to do seeker on it, subdivide it
in
off,
the-
vacant lands, and then move into our final phase 1 review.
You have the plan there?
This is not the plan.
Oh,
Yeah, I do have the plan.
you put it up, it's up.
And hopefully we'll amend the code by then, so we don't have to worry about
Oh,
double
the double
frontages.
frontage.
Yeah. That's right.
Technically, it's double frontage.
No,
What's in the?
Well, good.
well, that is,
Yeah.
it's the other one that we attached.
90.
Do you wanna see this, Chuck?
Well, I'm just gonna pull it up.
All right, I'll pull it up here.
This is our, the one that has all the development
That's
on
what I
it.
could
This
do.
is the one
We'll
that's
get a size
separate.
separate.
This is, no, this is not part of our,
This is not anything,
no, this is going, this is part, this is being subdivided off, yeah.
right, so this is the development one, right? This lot? This is where all the houses are, are we on this one?
Mm-mm.
These separate lots all together?
What's that?
Are these separate lots altogether? Like, I guess my question is the lot that we were subdividing off, the remaining land, that's where the development's being proposed, is on
This
that
one
land?
over here.
It's proposed right there, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Basically.
No,
Okay.
you're looking at the one on the other side of the road.
That's what I was confused. Thank you. Sorry about that.
So this is the one being subdivided into 2 parcels,
I got you.
using the road as a split.
Yeah, I follow.
Yeah.
I was I couldn't.
Yeah, it's hard, yeah,
I got
you're
it.
good.
Normally, it would have been 2 separate tax parcels with the road there, and so it would have been able to, we would have been able to close on it for them. But we hit that and your double frontage, your double frontage issue.
This one, that one shows 3 lots.
Yeah, because I had a little finger sitting up there.
This one shows the 2. Is
Other
that been
land.
changed?
Oh, it's,
Oh, yeah, what is that little,
Well, it's currently all one piece, but it's connected through the big piece on the south side of the road.
The piece just down Parish Street was subdivided by Rocco.
Oh, that's
That was
the
taken.
one.
Okay, yeah, I got you.
2020 application, that map is filed, it's available on Encore.
That's fine. I was just seeing 2 different drawings, that's all.
What's the date on this one?
Okay, I understand now. Tracy.
All right, I'm gonna make sure with this one.
This is the
Yeah.
latest one we have. So he has to update it and get rid of that other parcel.
Well, this one doesn't show it, so I'm gonna make sure we put this in, and this is signed.
Okay. This is okay.
On the board docs page, in terms of plat. There's an application, but there's no.
Yeah, we haven't
plat.
really, we haven't updated it.
We're kind of behind.
CRC
It
right
was, yeah. We will put that up.
We usually do that after Friday when we
Yeah,
have
and-
complete application.
Yeah.
When you confirm it, once you
Yeah.
confirm that they're ready to move, then you
Yeah,
put
then
them.
we move forward.
So procedurally, we'll do the subdivision one first, and then do final phase 1.
So Chris, when you're like showing the maps up there, you need to do share screen so that people that are watching the recording of TRC, like ECB and stuff later, can actually see what you're talking about.
Does the subdivision need a new seeker?
The subdivision would have its own secret.
Yeah,
because it's a
separate.
subdivision.
Type 1?
No, unlisted. Subdivision would be unlisted action, we do the short EAF. And then assuming that went through, then we would move on to final phase 1. No,
Seeker on that's done.
that subdivision would require a
Stream is
public
no
hearing.
longer
Yeah.
90
This
degrees.
is a subdivision.
It's got a nice little wobble
Smooth
to it,
out.
yeah.
Sean, I don't know what you guys have been doing lately. Do you guys go through the checklist on these applications
Do we go through the checklist?
here?
Not
Initial
here.
PRC review?
The actual checklist I do. Are we talking the referral checklist?
No, the actual.
Yeah,
site
no,
plan
no.
Subdivision one.
No, I do that on my own. I do that.
Do the referrals?
Well, so the preliminary overall subdivision that was approved has conditions, which we're going through. I sent an email out last week saying that all of my comments, MRB's comments have been addressed. We, however, can't sign the plans yet just because you have also supplied us with a preliminary overall SWIP. So because that governs the whole project, we're just making sure that those comments regarding that have been addressed so that we can say that's been approved. Once we do that, we can sign the plans and then move into what I'm assuming phase one review, which should be pretty straightforward. One of the items that got brought up at planning board, Chuck, was the trails. Now, I know there's been a lot of dialogue of trails and locating them. Is that part of this phase? Are those trails gonna be identified? I know they're shown, I think, on this plan, because they were shown on the preliminary overall, but I'm assuming the locations haven't been finalized yet.
Yeah, I mean, we have one small section where we would be coming from across the street from where Miller Park is, and it would be heading towards the south. But citing that in the field, we would do with Parks and Rec
Okay.
ultimately, and then we can bring it right to basically where that hammerhead is and connect it right to our sidewalks, because the sidewalks are going very straightforward.
Schematic so far, and then they'll be more appropriately delineated and
Right.
defined as part of this.
Yeah, I think the condition was to tie down the alignment and the surface.
Right.
So
That was my next
if
question.
you have a good idea where the alignment's gonna be, where it's gonna be on the property, then we'll go through what the trail surface is gonna be.
Okay.
That's what we wanna see at this stage.
So that discussion though will occur before the planning board meeting so that we know what type of surface we're talking about?
Well, we're gonna go look at some other surfaces
Okay.
Thursday, so with Jeff.
I just know that
Kevin,
that was a hot
Chuck.
topic.
It
so-
was,
is a
yeah.
hot
it was
topic.
a
Unfortunately, I
hot
just wanna
topic.
know.
Yeah.
Make sure that
Trying
it
to
was,
avoid amended plan.
Right,
Yeah.
we're gonna,
I think we can tie it down at the meeting,
okay,
assuming Jeff's prepared
sure.
to, show.
It sounds
where
like you
it's
guys are gonna
be
have
and
this
what
dialogue.
we
Yeah.
agree
Yeah,
upon
we
this
will.
surface and this area, and.
we've
and then
had
we
quite
just,
a
we
bit of
confirm if that's
dialogue
what the-
so
Yeah.
far.
If for whatever reason, we can't narrow it down or it hasn't been I'm thinking we probably wanna have a couple details, maybe Marathon can
Yeah.
supply, a couple that are appropriate for the site of options. That way, if the board has all three options and, we're leaning towards one,
Mhm.
we know the visual, we know what it
Yeah.
would look like, right? So that's just a suggestion that if you guys don't narrow it down prior, it might make the most sense to bring in a couple cut sheets or details of what options are being proposed,
Yeah, I mean,
other than the nature trail. if
there's
that's-
only, there's really, I mean, from a construction perspective, you would either go grass mowed, basically some type of stone dust, and obviously then paving. I've done stone dust, I would fight like a dog on that one, just, it fails. So I'm really hoping we get to the grass mode resolution, especially for the long-term maintenance, and movability of the trail. But I want everyone to feel really comfortable that that's a great solution for everybody,
The stone
so
dust, you end up having used pesticides and
It's-
chemicals and stuff.
it
And
fails.
honestly, the town has kind of tried not to, on any of the public lands, use any chemicals and stuff,
Right.
So
so.
remind me though, is
Yeah.
this open space area, is that gonna be HOA owned land?
It's gonna be all HOA owned land, all maintained by the HOA, but with a easement to the town
To
for
allow
public
public
access.
access.
Correct.
Okay.
And then we will pave our entry points where we have the basically those trails connect. We're gonna pave those for parking. And then I have what I would also like is a new delineation of the signage. I put forward kind of a suggestion of what that would look like as
Okay.
far as the monumentation and mapping. because this trail network's so extensive now, we need something more substantive
Sure.
as far as like the size of the area and good demarcation of the trails.
Does that have to be part of the approval of the phase one, or can that be done outside with the town? Because the trail
I'm
location
assuming,
might-
yeah, it can be done
I think
outside
if we
with
had
the
an
town.
example what the signage would look like, but maybe the signage location could be separate.
Location, I imagine it's gonna be an ongoing Parks and Rec
That's my,
dialogue, because even when we do our first cut of these, what we find is kind of year two, we've moved the trail 10 feet to the left now because of this drainage issue or whatnot. So to me,
Right.
I'd like to get just a Parks and Rec dialogue going for ongoing maintenance, also because I want to make sure that Parks and Rec is engaged with the HOA. It'll be me for the first 5 years anyway, but it's good. It's a good process that way.
Are you applying for the DOT crosswalk?
Yes.
So that should be, so I think you guys should include that. Also, do you have an affidavit that allows you to make this application from Sid Vulcan? Because I don't see anything in the file, and I see that the subdivision checklist application is not signed by anybody.
I did.
Sid did sign the application.
No, he signed the application, but
Right.
there is a single stage preliminary final subdivision checklist that I see is not signed or authorized. And the subdivision is the single stage review subdivision application, but I don't see anything in terms of like an affidavit authorizing you to.
On the actual prelim, you're saying, for section
For
one?
the subdivision that you're applying for.
So we'll get
Okay.
Sid to sign the checklist.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think of that one. I just had him sign the sub. I had him sign that one, yeah, the one he just popped up,
And
but
then the seeker,
not that checklist, like you're referring
not
to
that checklist, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't bring him that one. I just brought the,
so then on the seeker, I also see it's in an archaeologically sensitive area.
I think we got our SHPO letter on
We
that
did.
already, yeah.
Yep.
For this, I'm sorry, I'm gonna make sure I know, we're talking the subdivision application, the first one that we
The
discussed.
subdivision
right?
application,
Okay.
right?
We can use a SHPO globally, right?
So-
When they sign off.
So SHPO will say, okay, what is your area of disturbance, right? So if we're talking his subdivision site plan application where the MREL
Yeah.
project's occurring, they would have done a delineation of that project and then that would have been submitted and SHPO would have given them sign off.
Okay.
If the subdivision land's out here and there's no disturbance of it, technically, we would denote that there might be something there, and prior to any disturbance, they gotta get a site plan approval anyway, but it may not, whatever work was done with your townhouse project might not have included that, I don't know without seeing the letter.
And then on seeker part one, and I don't know that this matters, but the
Okay.
mapper, the EAF mapper
Alright,
does
I'll
not
check.
match the new subdivision application that you're making. It still has the other little
Okay.
finger piece on it, on the very bottom. So I don't know if, maybe that should at least be noted, if
Yeah.
nothing else.
Yeah, it probably doesn't really impact the EAF part one, but you're right, Doug, we should at least identify that that's not part of this.
Yeah, they have the old tax maps layers.
How often is that
Fortunately,
updated?
that gets done automatically.
Is it 6 months?
Yeah, it's really not very often.
All right, so SHPO. Yeah.
In terms of the subdivision and the final subdivision, the initial subdivision and the second subdivision, what kind of secret reviews do you still need?
So the subdivision one with no site plan application associated with just creating a lot, that's a short EAF part one, separate application. Separate review, should be pretty straightforward for mine. If SHPO hasn't been addressed and it's been triggered because it's a different area and it wasn't covered by the other one associated with the phase one and the preliminary overall, then we would note that. It wouldn't necessarily trigger them to have to do anything at this time because there's no site disturbance associated with the project, but we would want to notify that property has that
Okay.
note, and then in the future, any site plan application comes for the town would require them to follow through with that.
So you got that, John?
But they said they had a letter in the application, which I haven't seen yet, so
Yeah.
we would be able to look at that letter and help determine whether or not it gives them clearance or not.
On the subdivision application, and again, I'm kind of flying blind here, just asking questions, but does the plat show the easement for the open space to the town of Canandaigua? Because wasn't that conditions of approval of the preliminary that you got overall? So I would think the subdivision plat should show the easement.
I don't think this one does, because we were just thinking this from an administrative perspective, from a closing vehicle, like this will ultimately get absorbed into our overall prelim. So it
Does
was,
the prelim property include this property?
the prelim includes
It
that
does,
property,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking that we probably,
Okay, show it.
just to make sure going forward, because somebody's gonna refer back to this document.
Yeah, let's show it.
Probably show everything that's occurred along the way, so I would say the easements probably should be identified on this one.
Well, so here's, I guess, my other question. So you've granted preliminary overall on a parcel that doesn't exist today. Do you need to go back, since there's gonna be two separate parcels, and amend the preliminary to show the two separate parcels? Because you've basically granted preliminary on a parcel that doesn't exist.
No, the parcels exist, it's just much larger right now.
Right.
It's bigger.
This parcel was included, but I know what I'm saying is being, what now is being identified as lot whatever, wasn't identified as lot whatever when we did the approval. That's probably, honestly, that's probably a Chris.
Can we do that at final?
This parcel on that side of Church Street Extension is in no way involved in the project itself, right?
Right,
Other than it happens to be tied to the part on the other side, but.
It's, yeah, it's
So
touching the
there's no
boundaries.
easements, there's no improvements.
This one there is.
That's
Yeah,
what
no,
it is,
there is.
yeah.
No.
The entire project.
he's talking about the,
This has
that
nothing to do with
piece.
this project.
yeah,
The south side.
the
of
south
Parish.
side of Parish has nothing, yeah.
But the north side of Parish will have houses on it and everything else.
Yeah, this is getting developed here.
So when we approved it, the project that we approved was on that parcel and it included land across. But now they're basically taking that land across and separating it.
We're taking this piece off.
Yeah, you're
These
essentially
two parcels
subdividing
of the
that.
project.
Can I jump in?
Of course.
I think maybe the best way to handle that on this is probably putting a note on this subdivision plan indicating that this parcel is subject to the conditions of the preliminary overall approval for Pierce Brook. And then I think we're covered.
Might work.
Yeah, I think, I don't know that I have an issue with that, I just,
Here's Miller.
it really probably would be a Chris Nadler,
Yeah,
just to
for
make
sure.
sure that we're not,
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I think we can track it going forward without a
This is
problem, but
going.
you're right, we might need, if we do, I'd rather do it before we go any further if that's the
I was looking
case.
the other way, I was looking at, okay.
Shauna, can you check with Chris Nadler on that?
With the, yes, absolutely. How we want to do that.
That must be your test.
So I take back what I said. There is
Yeah.
an effect on that parcel. I was looking at it upside down.
I mean, normally I don't demarc prior. I mean, normally all the easements, mapping, et cetera, new lot line adjustments go with the filing. So,
Normally, you're not doing a subdivision after. That's
well, I know you're right. I mean, it's a good point. It's
yeah.
kind of like I'm like normally like it just overlays as soon
Right.
as we file, and then we notice, oh, geez, I can't close on this.
right.
And then I can't do an administrative because of the road, so best process is let's
think
move it
that's-
over prior. So maybe I said, take what Rich said, we note it. I don't mind even putting the easements on it, as far as mapping.
And you can even show it, say it's part of this other project.
Yeah, we can just show it,
Or just do
demark it, so it,
But-
Close our eyes.
But maybe it's a
We talked
condition,
about-
Chuck, maybe the simplest
What?
way is
We
to
talked
make
about
the same conditions of approval for the preliminary.
For this subdivision.
Actually,
this.
one of condition number 2 is all prior conditions shall apply for the subdivision.
So
Yeah.
I think Rich suggested we note it on the plans, but maybe that's
Yeah.
exactly, we make
Yeah.
it a condition as well,
Right.
so that we're tracking it that way.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you want me to check with Nadler?
Yeah.
All right,
Just to make sure that we're not,
yeah.
I don't think there's an issue there, but it's a good catch.
All right.
So we did the trails, the phasing, you did talk with Jim Fletcher, have MRB's comments, I'm really just wrapping up the SWIP, I think we should be good there. HOA agreements, I think that was a conditional preliminary approval, I'm assuming those have been submitted.
Yeah, well, what we'll do is, that's a long one, because it has to go to the AG, so we do it as a condition that basically says I can't do a building permit until Chris is satisfied.
Right, and I think Chris will know, we'll note
'Cause
that
it
as
will
we have
take
the
me-
other ones.
So I'll even be going, first phase, I'll be in construction of the infrastructure, and then hopefully by then I'll get the AG. Matter of fact, I can't even construct anything until the AG is signed off.
Yeah.
But they take a long.
How long do they generally take
I would say 6 months minimum.
minimum?
Yeah, they take a long time. That was my other plea on this, was there's one meeting in December. I'm in a kind of a full panic right now on timing. So I was hoping to get all the issues flushed out prior to that December meeting so that people are comfortable voting on a resolution for the final section 1. Because DOH right now is taking absolutely forever, and so is DEC, and they will not let me do anything until it's in front of them. It's like, that's tough, first in, first out. So, and there's only one meeting in December, so I was hoping to kind of get in on the beginning, because I know you have a big agenda also in the December meeting.
My concern here, a couple things, just so you've got, and I'm certainly not trying to stop this project, but you've got conservation subdivision that is now changed since your original preliminary application, right? And so you're doing a subdivision application here. You've got potentially the strategic viewshed overlay, which I don't know, but we'll find out about that tonight. The portion where he's doing the townhomes, part of that is in the strategic viewshed overlay. So I'm wondering, from a legal perspective, and you're gonna have to talk to Nadler, how much of that plays in. Would this be an easier application if you already have preliminary overall that includes this piece? Does it make more sense to subdivide the parcel south of Paris Street Extension? Just reverse the way we're thinking about it. Have Sid make application to subdivide the piece off of south of Paris Street, leaving everything essentially intact for north of Paris Street. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
Because he's not proposing to do anything, and it would have the same net effect without running into some of these other issues. But then the only thing is, if he subdivides that south of Paris Street Extension, there may be some other things that might come into play here. Because you're doing a subdivision of this parcel, you've got to look at the whole parcel, both sides of Paris Street Extension.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of the rules have to apply. This isn't a simple subdivision. Now that I'm starting to look at this.
So this map, as we have done it, was done the same way as Rocco's that was done earlier this year or late last year.
Yeah, but the rules have changed. The town code has actually changed in the last 90 days.
Okay. So we need to provide full survey for the south side parcel that's remaining lands?
No, I'm not saying that. I think we've got to, Shauna, you're gonna have to go through this, I guess, and come up with a determination, but it's gonna have to include everything because, all we're really talking about is the north side of Paris Street Extension, but you're subdividing this parcel as one piece.
So you're saying you want them to take that south
South
piece
side.
and subdivide that out, that would be the applicant. I guess I'm trying to make sure I
Isn't
understand.
it one in this,
Isn't that-
isn't that
I
what
thought
we're
that's what
doing?
we're
Yeah,
doing.
Well,
I mean,
yeah, but you've got these other provisions that apply. I'm trying to just figure out.
Mhm.
You've got conservation subdivision, right? From the time that you got preliminary approval, conservation subdivision has changed. Okay, so I guess let me go back to that question. Could you still get approval for this today with the current conservation subdivision? I don't know that you could.
Well,
Are you talking the big project, or are we just talking
subdivision away.
just this subdivision?
It doesn't matter because he's subdividing this piece of property.
but But on a straightforward subdivision, irrespective of anything, aren't we just adjusting the lines? Nothing is proposed
That's
in that
my understanding.
scenario.
I
It's
think
basically,
what
but
you're saying
there's
is because
still-
it's attached to the other
Can we do a
projects.
lot line
now?
adjustment?
That's what I was just
That's
gonna
what I'm
ask.
thinking.
Can we do that?
That might be the easiest.
We talked about that initially.
So if you do
Because
it
I'd
like
love to do a lot line
Because-
adjustment. It'd be so much easier. Normally, you would be able to just do an administrative.
Sorry, guys,
shift.
this isn't as easy as I thought.
Sorry, yeah.
Well, so that's my question, right? Because like, we have the new conservation where you have to map all the NRI stuff and everything. That even pertains to subdivision. That's chapter 174 of the town code, all the new stuff.
I like lot line adjustment, he's not creating any new lots. there's
Correct.
two
Lot line
before, two
adjustment makes
afterwards.
it so much simpler.
2 and 2, right, we'll just get rid of the middle lot line, that's it.
Yeah.
We'll push it,
Combine those
combine
two.
the,
And then you don't have to do all that other stuff.
And since double frontage is kind of being looked at.
Where
maybe we'll
were
even
you?
question-
Where were you earlier?
Sorry.
well, yeah,
As
but
I
the
started
double,
like looking at this, I'm like, wait a minute.
But
the
you're
double
right, you
frontage
bring
is
up a
what
great
kept coming
point.
up though.
The double frontage is what's the issue. and
That's the issue
We
with
hate
that.
that section of the code.
But it's the code.
I know,
Well, then we're creating
So-
a double frontage lot.
So then you might need a variance.
yes, which they've issued every single time they've gone
Okay,
in front
so
of
we'll do a lot line
procedure to what's
adjustment.
that process? Does that variance before planning board then
Yeah.
in December?
Well, it doesn't
it
have to
wasn't
be
even need to go
planning
to planning
board.
board, it just goes to
It just
ZBA,
gets
call
the
it a day.
variance and then it signs off in the
So-
office, right?
I'm sorry to interrupt. The planning board would be granting potentially final approval in December.
That's
Would
fine.
occur
You hit the
before that.
ZBA before that and just file a map the next day.
And my prelim section one
When is the
isn't
ZBA?
cover the
And then you
Wilkin
don't-
piece anyway.
Exactly, that's what I was.
Is there a
saying.
The
ZBA?
21st, and the planning board
It's
is
the
the
14th.
14th.
Do you need it December?
I don't need that. I can just I'll tell the Wilkin family, as soon as the ZBA completes their process, we would close. And that way it's a lot line adjustment,
Alright,
it's
so
fine,
we-
because then
we
I'll
would
have,
Conditioned approval on getting a lot line adjustment. We don't have
Yeah.
to talk about variances. The lot line adjustment will come to you and then you would be like, well, I
Chuck
can't
signs off,
sign
calls
it
it a day.
until you get a variance.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Right.
We,
And then it doesn't even have to
we've
go to
talked
planning board.
about this whole
From the beginning,
process
yeah.
from the
Yeah,
beginning.
but I get it. It's,
sorry, Rich, you need another map. But actually, it saves your
This is
seeker, it
a-
saves your
so
prelim,
much
it
It
better.
saves all those other
saves-
potential issues.
Saves a lot.
I was getting nervous for a minute.
Okay,
You good with that, Rich?
alright, so
Subdivision, zero lot line.
there's no subdivision,
Anymore.
just a lot line
Okay,
adjustment.
Zero lot lines, corner lot.
Yeah.
So we'll just,
Conditional upon a ZBA approval.
Well,
It's
I-
just running the lot line.
I
right?
think we would just condition it on getting the administrative lot line because the administrative lot line review would come to you and you would tell them at that point they would need to get a variance. So I don't even think we need to condition them on the variance.
So they get the variance. Are we talking about putting the phase one final on the December 14th agenda?
Yeah.
I
yes,
think that's
So
what
you
we're,
would not have a ZBA approval by then. So you're saying as a condition of that approval,
The lot line.
if it would occur, would be the lot line.
right, because we know
so
that has to
condition of the
happen to
14th
get
would be
this.
the, yeah, which they will grant
And
because,
then anybody who submitted any lot line adjustment plan administratively to the town would go to Chris, and Chris would make a determination whether that can apply or not. And he would say, well, in order for this to work, you need a variance. So nobody would need to sign that, either of the plans, until the variance occurred anyway. So it's already by default a condition. That's what we can do it either way. I'm just pointing out that it's protected either way.
So you need to make a variance application like today, or
Yeah,
this
Yeah.
week.
I think
Yeah,
so.
I'll put it in now.
Get that in there so that we know.
So 90 is then to the zoning board on December 21st for a
Variance
variance,
yeah, we'll
application.
keep this and just switch it,
which is not a planning board anymore.
no,
He would need you to sign it and the other property
Any
owner.
That's
referrals?
it, okay.
Okay.
no
For
referrals,
ZBA,
no,
just a Chris. You guys.
yeah, just us,
Are we ready to move on to phase one, final?
that's nice.
Okay, so no seeker, further seeker required. Okay.
Which would be a lot easier to.
Did you
How
say
we
the
time-wise,
21st?
can we make this happen, December 14th? In terms of reviews?
Make what happen?
Take action on.
91.
Oh, on the final?
91.
Final section lineup.
Final section. I think so.
You have to notify the county?
Please.
The county have to be notified again?
I'm not for a fire, you did it as part of preliminary, they've received everything that you guys did.
Seeker was good?
Seeker's done, preliminary overall is done, it's essentially the same
Is it a public
blueprint.
hearing?
No public,
A public hearing?
it's not required, but
Okay.
We have been.
I think in the past you guys may have done it on final, I don't remember, I have to look at the other Lakewood projects, because I would be
Where are
very
we,
similar to those.
with the PNR fee, park and rec fee, is that something?
We would
It's gonna be in
condition
this-
them like we would any other subdivision project on that process,
Conditional
which we
payment
did as
fee?
part of preliminary. So some of those preliminary conditions would transfer to final phase. I think the ones that I remember being sticking points was the trail, the HOA area, who's maintaining it, and the surface.
Yeah.
And then
Because we're
MRP's
paying the
comments,
fee,
which
yeah,
will
we're
be,
paying the
we're gonna have
parking
But you're not
comments,
doing
but
it in lieu of, like,
I'm not doing it in lieu of, yeah.
okay, so you're paying, okay, we're good, that makes sense. And you're clear with Jim on the road width, cross-section, the gutters?
Yeah.
Okay,
turnaround provided.
and the pullovers, oh, no, you're gonna keep everything so at the fire hydrants.
Yep.
You
Yeah,
don't
the
have to
spacing,
pump out.
proper spacing.
Okay.
All right, is all the stream work, I apologize, is all that work done already?
The stream's been redirected, and I haven't seen whether they've completed plantings yet, but it's done,
They were gonna start
redirected,
that.
stabilized, and I think they were starting, yeah.
It
So everything
looks really
associated
good.
that essentially would be done before any of this would be,
It's done, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that 90-degree turn is no longer there. It's got a nice curved linear shape now, and they're putting in the riparian plantings.
I just didn't know if there's any like disturbed areas or topsoil, whatever that's sitting out there that we should.
There isn't.
Okay,
Yeah, no,
Perfect.
it's all, it actually came out great,
good.
Yeah.
Nice.
Great project.
yeah.
And that's where we talked about the trail meandering through some of those plantings,
Mhm.
seeing how, depending on what
Makes sense.
what's planted.
I
The
think
trees
it's
are gonna be
just-
big, I think, eventually.
Chuck, are those the same ones that were big on your list, do you think? The trail, surface,
Trails, making sure Jim's happy with the
Jim was a
roadway.
big ticket one.
Jim's good with the crossing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he knows that they'll be part of a future phase.
Yeah.
Parking
Yeah.
lot for, across the street, right?
Yeah,
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 right
good
there.
point.
Public hearing is or is not?
I don't,
Not on
it's not
final.
required, because you already did this part of preliminary subdivision, so it's not required, but I think, I'm pretty sure we may have done them on Lakewood Meadows finals, which would be a very similar process to this one.
We've
So I
usually
would have to
provided
look.
the notice so that the
Yeah.
residents can come and, be transparent.
Yeah, I don't know if we've actually did a public hearing per se, but I'm sure the board has opened it up to public
You're
comment.
saying just the notice,
That's usually
the
what we've done in
residents
the
rather
past.
than an advertisement in the paper?
Yeah, well, it's not, like he said, it's not an official public hearing, but we've usually provided notice. so
Oh, yeah,
that somebody-
that for sure. I
Yeah.
think we do that with all
Right.
applications. Oops.
Yeah, and I think you've opened the floor to them before if there was ever any comment, but I don't, I mean,
I don't
the last
anticipate any,
5 haven't had any.
nobody's come, yeah. I have, as I said, really good relationships with,
Doors, you can't get out.
yeah. I
I can
have,
zoom in though.
yeah,
Okay, so we'll shoot for it on the 14th then.
yeah.
Sean, any referrals?
That would really help just on my
I would- If
timing.
I may,
Yeah.
Well,
I
then
would send
once
them
you
all
get
back to the same people you
variance,
sent preliminary.
So it can
to,
go,
the final
yeah.
portion.
Flat signed, and then you
Just
can close.
Make sure there's no comments.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, so I think I'll just tell
Sorry, didn't
them.
mean to throw a wrench.
No,
in
it's
that.
just, it's
Better to
actually, it's
talk it out.
better. We were just trying to figure out the best way, because of that issue, but I think that's cleaner, simpler.
This will be the second time we've issued a conditional approval upon ZBA instead of the reverse. So
Yeah, that's
as
okay.
long as nobody has a problem with it.
Yeah.
Chris didn't have a problem with it the
Yeah.
first time, so.
No. It's
And
just,
it
we
makes
have
sense
to,
for this one.
before we issue final, sign off and stuff, we just gotta make sure all the conditions are met.
Oh, yeah.
So,
But in both cases, just to add to that, in both cases, there was reasons supporting why we would do something like that. In this case, we have an application that the ZBA has acted favorably before on a number of applications, so,
there's a precedent for it.
yeah, it's already been set, we're not setting it. I think we're good
Yeah,
there.
just wanna make sure
Right.
Perfect.
Everybody knows what's going on.
So
Alright.
for me, it's just getting you guys the SWIP comments, and Rich, I'll try to get them out to you as soon as I can, either today or tomorrow, if we have any.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
Sorry, guys, that was longer than.
Yeah, it was supposed to be simple, but actually it worked out cleaner. I like, it's great. Have a great week, everybody.
You too.
Thanks,
See you.
Jack.
Thanks, I'll see you. Great.
My name is Jim Newton, Bill Variance. Oh, my goodness. I saw some advertising.
Right?
Hey,
So I
you
got
got
new site plans. That
Oh.
were in the application.
That we're not,
They were not, and they were supposed to be in time and it took an extra day, so.
okay. Lamar, okay, 88 and 80. Thank you.
So there was an agreement between the board and Lamar.
The town law has been
These
changed.
are the original site plans. These were not in the application.
Okay.
They came a day later than we needed them,
They leave.
so.
We're sure. Okay, very good.
If you wanna check these out.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay.
There's an agreement executed between the board and
There's, the
law.
law has been changed, the town code has been changed, that would allow the conversion of 2 of these signs to video digital, is I guess is the way I would say it.
Commercial, the way in like DOT's eyes, they call it commercial electronic variable message sign.
Wow.
We call it digital.
There's digital changing copy.
But it's not that, so many people are going through this, we've been working on this for what, 3 years or whatever now.
Oh, I know, yeah.
So many people, when you say digital, they think of like the little red dots, and that's not what this
Yeah,
is.
no.
So we just
I've
wanna,
seen 'em.
make sure it's more like a giant
It's like
TV screen.
television.
But we also, we set it so they're not like constant moving, it's like they switch every certain.
Every 8
Instantaneous, and then
seconds.
it changes every 8 seconds instantly, and then it doesn't like.
There's
the
no
image stays.
transition, crazy effects,
Nope.
flags
Nope.
flying, fireworks.
No.
So you fellows took the law and applied it to a specific sign, or signs, 2 of them in this case, within the town. Okay. So assuming that, I guess, a lot of this plans meeting the obligations, the conditions, the requirements of the law, not a whole lot of.
Yeah, other than, right, commercial signs in the town of Canandaigua will require special use permits, so that's essentially why they're in front of the planning board. So this would be a commercial, I'm assuming this, I haven't seen the application, but it's a special use permit application, right? Because that's what the requirement is.
We applied for site plan and we applied for sign permit.
So if you didn't really check what it is, all you have to do is click,
Just check that box.
Okay.
special use.
Yeah,
So we'll check the box with your permission.
yeah, we'll check,
Yes,
if
you
you're
have
good with that.
Thank you.
Both these are SUPs mostly.
No, just special use.
Especially,
It's
permit,
just,
which
yeah.
requires us to look at a site plan.
Right.
but it doesn't
Right.
say-
Yep. So then the only thing the planning board would be doing was just be granting the special use permit, right? And then it would just be the normal application.
All the
of Chris and
conditions
all
and-
this stuff.
I'm assuming you guys are requesting a
Yeah.
waiver from Russia, site plan too,
Oh,
right? Because I think special use permit requires us to look at site plan, but then you would request a waiver from that, which then grants the ability for the planning board to waive.
well, we
Oh,
have a
always
site
have a
plan.
site plan resolution.
Well, if you already have a site plan, then we don't need the
SUP,
waiver.
so I mean-
yeah.
Right, we're
Yeah.
good, it just can't, yeah,
My
we've got
fault.
the
I
site
wasn't
plan.
thinking.
Yep.
We're good. Okay. So the seeker, SUP, site, and findings. Is what we.
Except for the property owners, our goal investments
So we actually own an easement for where the sign sits.
still need the actual owner
Yeah, they need to
Sign the
sign off
application.
on the application.
or representative of the owner.
Or
you look at-
a affidavit.
We know
that says
there's-
that you have permission to make applications on their behalf. It's not gonna hold it up today, just get it for us this week.
Yeah, just, we
Okay,
can,
what, so. Yeah.
It would
Do
be
you
best
wanna-
to just have the owner download the sheet, the signature sheet of the application and sign it and scan it or send it or something like that. I mean, it doesn't have, the owner has to be it could be one of the workers at the place, goal investment. One of them,
So you need both for both, and then CMB for the other one, both of your properties there.
Yeah, I think we got CMB to sign off on it.
So TLC property signed one.
TLC Properties is who owns the easement,
Yeah, okay.
and like, we're a subsidiary of TLC Properties.
All right, so that TLC signed,
Yeah, but they're not the owner.
they're not.
no, I'm just saying, I'm
So-
just showing what we have here.
And then
And then Canandaigua National Bank signed,
CMB then to actually
Yep.
sign.
Vincent. Yeah, the CFO signed.
Now, we do have a legal agreement that basically authorizes all this, and they've already signed off on that. I think they signed off on that, right?
Yeah,
So
they
we
did.
could always reference that as part of this.
Do you want me to reference a settlement agreement?
Yeah, why don't we? Because then it gives basically, I still think it's a good idea for you guys to get either sign or an affidavit, but in this particular case, we have both of those
We
landowners
don't do affidavits
authorizing.
anymore.
Yeah, but this is a legal different
I know,
situation.
I know.
This is a different situation.
It would be
so
nice just to treat them all the same.
Should we
and
just
call it a
attach
day.
a settlement with it?
We can include it with the, I mean, it's public information, right? We can
Right.
include it with the application, but yeah, to Chris's point, we try to get the landowners to actually sign.
Yeah, we do.
these.
we haven't done an affidavit since I've been
We
here.
don't do affidavits anymore. Ever since.
Do you
one
think you can
person
get them
argued.
to sign?
So, we're just talking about 5 and 20, we need,
No, both.
Well,
so CMB,
Canandaigua
what did,
National-
CMB did sign.
Yes.
We have CMBs.
They signed the form.
We just don't have,
So
So the
the other,
property.
we don't have 5 and 20.
Okay, so I'll, yeah,
And who's the owner of that one?
Was it Gold Investments or something?
Gold what?
Goal, GOAL.
Oh,
Yeah.
Gold.
yeah, so, talk to them. So
It'd be
even though-
great to get it, but this one, like I said, this one is very different in that there's a legal settlement agreement where they've already signed that basically authorizes them to make applications, so I'm less worried on this because we have something.
This
already
being
on
the
this.
5 and 21?
Yeah, both of them.
Both
Yeah,
of them.
both of them. But let's see what we can do.
Yeah, I'll reach out and try to get someone to sign off, I'll print out this single signature page and get them to sign off, and does it need to be original, or can it be like scanned?
Anything,
Okay.
as long as it's a signature and it's someone that works the front counter at their business, I don't care.
Okay.
Francis Seeker for these?
And let's call it unlisted for now, because I think that's how we've done it in the past, even though I think it's really good too.
Yeah, so when I was filling out the form, it said, like, one of the first parts is, if it's part of a new local law, just submit,
Well,
Short
that's for
form.
us.
That's just for
us,
That's not
yeah.
for you
Yeah,
guys.
so I think I just, to
And
be
we're all okay
consistent, I
with
think
pipes
we've
and
always
everything like that,
identified it
like-
as a short year and a half.
25.
Because
25
it's
for
not
5 and
specifically
20, 22,
identified
23,
in the
32.
secret
Like
laws,
it's already, okay.
even though I think
Their
it's type
application's
two.
correct.
So does that just?
So I'll look at what we've done the last two, but for this point, just call it unlisted.
No, that meets the new
And
law.
then I'll decide when we.
So that's the question, like with the new law, if someone else comes in as
No.
an application, it's
No.
just for these.
It's only, so the new law specifically allows for the replacement of pre-existing signs to be converted from their current to video.
Okay, these are like the only ones in.
So these are the only two that'll be allowed.
Yeah, 'cause
And
we-
then the law even beefs it up even more to make it more restrictive for the placement of new signs. So these are the only two that are gonna be allowed, so.
Because we also have another law that says you can't advertise for another company when you're not on that company's property itself. too,
Correct,
and
but
stuff,
this,
so.
this law spells out specific for these two to allow this.
So you think unlisted right now?
I think unlisted, because that's the thing, that's what we, it's,
Yeah,
not,
we
I know
just-
it's not defined, but I think we're gonna tell it, it's gonna. be
Yeah,
type
yeah,
two,
okay.
'cause it doesn't make sense.
Public hearing, present special use permit.
Right,
Yeah, and it'll require county referral because of special use permit. That's the whole thing being on a state road. That's why we had to do the special use permits to begin with, because they require county referral.
The county loves signs.
So I'm sure they'll come back with a denial. Don't be
Yeah,
surprised by that.
that's
That's
the-
usually what they do on
yeah.
signs, and then,
And then they'll say nothing.
right.
Yeah.
They won't say denial, they won't say we approve it.
Also matter.
I had my first meeting last week. It was interesting.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Came out with a headache?
No comment, no
Yeah,
comment.
I'm not gonna say anything right now.
You're being recorded.
Right.
John, any referrals other than the
Well,
county?
county planning board, DOT, state DOT. Who else?
We did, I mean, we can obviously refer to them, but we did reach out to them and they did give us preliminary approval.
Then
Just
just
FYI, yeah.
We'll send it over to them.
Yeah, just that.
To Greg.
I don't think it's gonna go to anybody else.
That's it.
Does the application include the detailed designs?
Yes. Well, the sign permit does, so I'll include that. I'll include everything.
But the sign itself meets.
Or the structure,
Right,
yeah.
it meets everything,
It looks
right?
like a two-pedestal sign with a, giant face. and-
So the one on
Yeah.
332 is gonna be actually a monument sign that we had a lot of discussion with,
So,
Right there.
yeah, so let's just talk about that for a second, so everybody's on the same page. So the 332 sign, can you share that screen so everybody on the recording knows it? Yeah. So this is the 332 sign with the monument style where it has like the stone base and
Yeah,
the
so you
more
won't see it.
pedestal. You won't see
Yeah.
the pole,
No.
right? So this was the agreement with the town board and the
Okay,
local law.
I want to make sure we cover it. Okay.
Yep, and then this is the 5 and 20 sign, more of the traditional.
correct, it's just gonna be like a stealth mount pole, is what we call them.
So there's currently, just for the record, and so everybody's on the same page when this goes to the planning board and stuff, there's currently 4 billboards in the town of Canandaigua. They're the only 4. Lamar owns all of them. There's one on State Route 21. That actually is part of our settlement agreement. That goes away completely. Then there's these 3. There's 2 in front of Big Lots. Those 2 are replaced with this one. And then the one on 332 is replaced with the one that we just showed you.
Is this triangular with 2 sides?
Nope, it's just a single
Single
face,
sign.
it's just the way, yeah, you would get that looking at it, but
Yeah, that's.
yeah, that's just,
And they're both one-sided. They're both single-sided.
Oh, yeah, I'm just saying this image is a 3 sided.
yeah.
Are they essentially the same locations roughly?
Mhm.
Okay. Just like curiosity.
Okay.
The monument sign, I know you have looks like some landscaping underneath. I don't,
Yeah, we brought that up and the main concern was how it looked rather than any of the landscaping around there, that they didn't want to include any of that in our settlement agreement. We usually upkeep it just for visibility and keep it low cut, so.
yeah, I just didn't, being a monument, I know the town in the past my several projects have suggested landscaping. I just think that was a good time to have that dialogue in case it comes
Yeah,
up.
we also do have, if you look kind of under the sign in the blue, it's the town of Canandaigua logo.
Mhm.
That's just the regular logo from the town. That is indeed the logo you guys want on there. If you guys have just a high-res file of it, that would be helpful. So I can work with you guys on that, but.
So with the agreement, Doug, is there a need? Was there any discussion of potentially landscaping that if that came up?
There really hasn't been much discussion in terms of that piece. I mean, I think what's gonna happen, we all know with form-based code uptown is changing, right? So my prediction here, and this is kind of like looking out, but this parcel, the rest of this parcel is gonna become part of something else,
Sure.
I would think.
So some-
And then there'll probably be some sort of request for landscaping as that's developed, I would think.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
we're easy to work with.
Yeah.
If they need something, we're here to help, we're here to
And
please.
you're in the right of way, the DOT right of way?
No,
No, you're outside, right?
Yeah, outside
That's
right
the
away.
department.
we actually used to have 2 signs there, DOT took some
Took
eminent
them.
domain on us.
Okay. Good, I was just curious.
Well, if that's what you're proposing for that sign with the brickwork and the landscaping, and you testify from, present it to the planning board, they're gonna require it to be done that way then.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
it's not just a representational.
No, that's what's
Okay.
going, that's what's
Okay.
actually going, look,
Do you have a list of the plants?
there's been, I don't have the physical blueprints for the monument right this second.
So
I get
if the plantings that you're showing, I think is what I was.
The landscaping?
Yeah,
Oh, I don't have a plan for that now.
but that's what you're anticipating putting in?
We were not anticipating
You're not
putting
putting
anything, that's
anything
just, yeah, no.
Okay.
So really, it's the pedestal
Just the
itself, the
pedestal.
brick and
Correct.
the
Correct.
Town of Canandaigua logo and then the sign. Okay.
Correct.
Are you opposed to putting some sort of
Yeah, I was just
stone
gonna
or something
ask.
around to
About,
kind of keep it looking nice so the weeds from growing up? Maybe some verify with some stone or something under it or something?
Yeah, you just have to,
Do some clearing, rubbing.
yeah, no, we're not against it.
Yeah, traditionally, we maintain underneath the boards, like cutting the grass or weed whacking.
Mhm.
If you guys want some stone, it makes our life easier.
I think the stone would look much better.
If you just tell us what it is, so we know.
Well, the board can,
Yeah, the
we
board
can talk,
will-
they'll, they're gonna wanna, you're gonna wanna
Just,
see
yeah, I'm
something.
anticipating dialogue.
That's gonna
on
come up.
landscaping.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they'll look at that picture.
So, yeah, they'll look at the
Yeah.
picture, they'll probably want you to plant and build that.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Meeting.
This is from, it's actually from a
It's like-
company in Phoenix. So
I was
those
gonna
are-
say, it looks like
Yeah,
It
Arizona.
this-
doesn't look like 332, but
Put
Well,
some cactus in there.
it could.
We went through a lot of iterations of monument signs, and this was the winner. So Phoenix
This
is
is one of the first ones, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, that was, yeah,
Made it easy then.
yeah. Yeah, so, all right, yeah, when we go to the planning board, we're.
They're gonna ask for something, and
They
it's
will,
just a matter
yeah.
of, you don't wanna put yucca plants, but you wanna.
Would it be
Sure.
easier if we had a plan and presented to them, then they just said yes?
Yes.
If you
Okay.
could come
Oh, yeah.
up with something before the meeting,
Quantity and kind,
Okay.
yeah.
It doesn't need to be huge,
no,
just
yeah.
Yeah, if we did like a
Something small.
20-foot or 30-foot radius or
Yeah,
something.
I don't know,
of
5
stone.
and 20.
I don't even know if you need that big.
No, they
That's
didn't.
pretty big.
10
That's,
foot? Okay.
it's pretty rough as it is.
Yeah, I
Okay.
I think it would be easier if you propose something, then they can approve it,
Rather
and then we
than-
have it.
Okay, yeah, that's,
They really would like, yeah, a nice rendering would.
Okay, so it's going to county, it's, so it's probably gonna get pushed to January, right?
Oh,
The
right,
county
because we
will
only
respond.
have the one meeting.
When's the county meeting? Do you remember?
30, they have to have 30 days.
Yeah.
County, board.
What?
It's the second Wednesday?
So December 8th.
So 14th.
Oh, we would have time. Well, it's the 8th.
Do
Can we
they
go-
do the
Let's
administrative
put them on the
review?
14th.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah.
14th, yeah,
December
December 14th.
Okay.
We have time.
And then you,
So
You
that
gotta
means
make a
county
public-
planning board,
legal
December
notice.
8th, right?
Yes.
Would be the,
What's that?
Legal
so county, they'll go county, they'll
Sorry,
make the
what did you say?
determination, defer
You need a
back to you
legal
guys,
notice.
then we'll go,
Because
come
it's
back
a
the
public
14th.
Legal notice, yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
so it's his approved,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
all their
I
standard.
think they've only approved it once,
Yeah.
throughout the different counties. That's just their standard.
Yeah, we'll just make sure that the board, regardless of what occurs, unanimously votes.
Yeah,
Be
super
unanimous.
oh,
majority.
Gary will be
Yeah.
gone.
So 12-14 is.
Yes.
You'll only have 4 members, and you'll need all 4
All
to say
four,
yes.
which they
Usually.
most likely for this, I'm assuming, but I guess Chuck will have to keep that in consideration.
You have to
Um,
count votes.
So is 12-14 is going to be the planning board?
Correct.
Okay.
6 o'clock,
Here,
in that room down the hall, yeah.
Okay.
Where you were before.
Yeah. your
So-
favorite room in the building.
So for that, we're gonna have a landscaping plan that we'll present to them.
We'll try to get that in like this week.
Yeah, if
so-
you can get that
Oh,
in
okay, as soon as
timely.
possible?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, just submit to you.
yes, please.
Okay. Then do I need to submit anything else? I know I'm gonna work on getting the owner's signature for 5 and 20.
Yeah, just send that to me as well.
And then are those the
please.
only two things?
Yep, that's what I have.
Okay.
Easements, was that what we're talking about?
Yeah, it's in lieu of not putting the easement holder, just the owner.
And then I'll give you a copy of the settlement agreement, Sean.
Yeah, I was gonna ask for that. Then we can review it.
So this will have the public hearing too, John, if you're doing that, right?
Yeah, you just did.
Yeah, sorry, I missed it.
Legal
Oh, it is
notice.
a public hearing?
Thanks, Lynn.
Special,
I appreciate
special
you.
use permit.
I don't know about that, I'm
I do.
creating
Special
controversy.
use, the whole thing.
Then we'll have to get it advertised.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Yeah, there's, I've had regular conversations. I would expect you'll have a couple of individuals that'll probably show up and voice objection to it, just FYI. So,
No.
We're used to it
You didn't
now.
put those fires out with a local?
Yeah.
Should we, do we bring up the settlement agreement, that this is part of it, or do we just kind of leave that as some?
No, you can. Well, we're gonna attach it anyway,
Oh,
so the
okay.
board members will all have it, but
Okay.
yeah.
But they're the same locations roughly, where we already have billboard signs, agreements in
Right.
play,
Yeah.
it meets the
Reducing
code,
the total billboards by 50%.
and it meets the code, so. Pretty straightforward from that standpoint.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Walk upstairs
Okay.
and grab that.
I'll let you hold on to those site plans. Chuck, did you want to keep those site plans too? You
I
can.
marked them up, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't mind.
Nope, all yours.
All right, then we will put these in. Can you send these to us electronically as
Yeah,
well,
I can.
please?
I don't have them electronically myself yet. But as
Okay.
soon as I get them, I will send them over to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Sean, did you get the Uptown application? Did they submit that?
No.
Oh, they didn't?
No.
Oh, he emailed me.
Who did?
Jeff did.
Jeff? We didn't get anything.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
I'll come back in a second.
Did you see anything from Glenn Thornton? I didn't.
Oh, no.
Nothing. Sorry I was late. I had a
Okay.
resident upstairs.
Is that a ZBA?
This is ZBA side setback. The weird thing is if he attached it to his house, it would
Yeah,
be
this is
40
a weird-
feet. If he detached it from his house, it would be 20 feet and meets the requirement for detached, but once he attaches it to a house, it requires a larger setback. Which, that's something we have to look at.
It does. We gotta add that. It doesn't make any sense. He could attach it with
Breezeway,
anything.
yeah.
What's one 2x4?
2x4.
Attaching the building to the thing, and suddenly it needs a variance, but if it's a detached garage, it
So
doesn't need it.
detached, it's 20 feet, if it's
Attached, it's 40 feet.
40 feet.
So he needs a 20-foot side setback variance because he wants to attach it with a breezeway to his home.
He submitted new, does that say 23? Yeah, we just scanned those. So he did move it a little bit.
This is the ZBA one.
Yeah, I think he needs to do the waiver because these are not
Being
professionally.
attached, it's not an accessory building, but
Correct. But the requirement for a detached structure is 20-foot side setback. The requirement for a side setback for an attached structure as part of your main home is 40 feet. The question is, why are they different? Because all he adds is this little
Well-
tiny breezeway and suddenly,
if he attaches it, at some point he could go and build another garage separate, right? You could have an accessory building, you could have two garages.
He could have
one
5
detached.
garages.
He could have detached.
he could have
Yeah.
5,
Yeah, he could. Yeah, he could have
they're
a,
just accessory structures.
right,
Oh, I thought you can only have two.
You can have 5 accessory structures.
up to
Up
3,000.
to 3,000 square feet.
Oh,
In
So we
total,
could have
right?
5, yeah, in
In
total.
total.
So we could have a bunch of little ones, like
okay.
This is
the
for my
German
sleds.
site,
That wasn't
right?
My boots.
16, that was in the RLD, that's right.
RLD is one
One,
detached,
yep,
10
okay.
by 10 by
Gotcha,
10,
that's what I was thinking.
or 900 square foot.
Yep.
Either way,
That's-
this is just a weird code that we need to,
Yeah, we do
resolve.
not have his justification, but I do know
he's working on it.
he's working on it, and to the rear of his proposed addition or garage, it's pretty steep. So he does have some constraints. I think it's pretty straightforward.
Well, it's pretty out there, it's Brunel, right?
It's Benel, it's out in God's country,
Notify the neighbors, see what they say.
right? I think they're in support.
Yeah.
I told them to submit
What's
something.
gonna happen there? So it comes down to.
To go to the county and.
No, thank you. No county,
Single family dwelling, one variant.
yeah,
It does get a public hearing.
yes.
Zoning,
And a type 2.
type 2.
And he's just gotta finish like 5
There's
questions. and
5.
Right.
We'll tell him that he needs to get it done by this Friday. If you wanna guide him a little bit, the fact that if it was
Yeah.
detached or attached.
Yeah, I talked about that.
So the
Hopefully
ZBA
that
is
is in
this
his-
one, and then the Morels on for that.
Yeah,
summary.
Morels and Navikas.
And if anything carries over from this upcoming one, are we anticipate anything carrying over?
Oh, I hope not.
Chris's dock. Just kidding.
What about the other subdivision there?
Oh, I have no idea.
Maybe
So
it's a different
Nadler said
conversation.
he's in support of our determination.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, let's talk about that later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
Where we stand.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
So this
Any other
is
referrals on this one?
No, thank you.
just the neighbors.
Just a name.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that-
we'll
thanks
refer
for
it to them.
Next one is the tower site, updated special use permit.
No, that's kicked off.
That's kicked off now?
Oh, the amended one, the last one?
The
21?
Bliss.
Yeah.
Bliss Road.
Oh, they didn't get anything in.
No, I told them no, they didn't send their fee in and they're gonna go in December, or January.
Yeah,
So this one can't, this was.
they weren't very friendly on the phone.
They were or they weren't?
Dish
Never.
Network,
They all come in like this attitude. You deal with it all
well,
the
it's
time.
almost, yeah, like they're a public utility or
I'm sorry.
something. Anyways, no,
Sorry,
take them
shouldn't
off
say
the
that.
agenda, we'll push them to, January,
Alright,
please.
so I think that's our whole,
Why do I have Hoffend? Maybe that just got put in,
that probably just got stuck.
okay.
Okay.
Lamar, Wilkin, yeah,
That was,
that was it. Do they wanna make a motion to close this meeting?
Sure.